if you're a fan of college football, college sports in general, or the integrity of sport, then this news today from college football should really disturb you. So Brendan Sorsby, the previous quarterback of Cincinnati and Indiana, has transferred to Texas Tech this offseason, and a big betting scandal came out that Sorsby had been allegedly betting on nearly all of his games at Indiana. So if you go back here to see what teams he's played for, if you're unfamiliar, he played 2 seasons at Indiana, 2 seasons at Cincinnati, and now he's transferred to Texas Tech, making big money over there. I think somewhere in the neighborhood of $10 million for this season. But he was ruled ineligible by the NCAA, and then he was granted an injunction by a judge in Texas to regain eligibility. So to put this in simpler terms, Sorsby bet on all of his games at Indiana and then now has been given eligibility to continue playing a few years down the line. And this presents a huge problem in just a lot of ways. So first, we have to start with the fact that it ruins the integrity of the game. Whatever problems Sorsby had going on, exclude him for a second. Anyone that's betting on the game, when you start to bet, when the outcome starts to be rigged at all, you lose the very thing that makes sports special. We've seen this across. There are leagues like the UFC where the script is known, where betting and all of that is part of it. But in a game like football, like a college sport, this has never been part of the game, and it's never been a part of really American sport in general. This is not why people watch sports. This is a huge, huge problem. And so then Sorsby, getting into the specifics, it looked as if he got some sort of mental health personalized judge injunction by a judge that actually went to Houston, funny enough, Texas in-state rival. But there's a problem with that too, because if you think about it, mental health issue, maybe Sorsby is prone to gambling or suffered with similar related addictions. That's his personal situation, and prayers up that he has figured that out and he's gotten better from that. But here's the thing: if you're in a situation that causes you to bet in the first place, then why would you continue? Why would you, as the judge, why would the legal side decide, oh, it's a great idea to put him back in the situation that caused him to commit that act in the first place? Legally, it doesn't quite make sense how you can put him back in this situation. Now, I don't know the specific law, and I'm sure that it was a little bit shady in everything that went on behind the scenes here. He's only been suspended 2 games for the season, so Texas Tech refines their answer, and a season where it's just been pay to win off season. They've gotten all these guys out of the portal, and Sorsby, of course, the biggest prize of them all. But it doesn't make sense to me how you can. So there's the issue of the legal side of Sorsby with the betting. What do you do about that? They're basically just giving him a slap on the wrist. There's no punishment at all, I guess, these days for betting on your own team, betting on yourself to win, betting through proxies, betting through all this stuff. There's no punishment. The issue is the NCAA can't enforce this. So the NCAA has really no power anymore because of NIL, amateur athlete status, and there's nothing that really anyone can do. Right now, college football is the Wild West. There's no rules, there's no regulations, and this is a huge, huge problem. I was listening to some other people from various opinions talk about it with the Congress bill, with the Senate. I think it was the Senate bill that people have been arguing about between the Big Ten and the SEC, among other things. Why should college football have to go to Congress? Well, here's the thing. There's no rules right now. And if you can have players that deliberately do the thing that ruins sports, that ruins the very fabric of what makes an unknown sports result magical. This is what college football is about. Saturdays where you never know who's going to win. You don't know which team's going to have an upset. You don't know how a team's going to perform. When you do have a result that's really been tampered with, that ruins the fabric of the game. And so the fact that this is even going on in the first place, how could Congress make it worse? How could any sort of rules make it worse? Because there's no rules. And I think I was listening to Josh Pate earlier. He hit the nail on the head. if we're not getting anything from the NCAA, if there's no central governing body, if there's no rules, no regulations, then Congress can only help. So let's hope that the NCAA can put some sort of sanction, restriction on Sorsby, whatever they can do. He does not need to play. I mean, if things weren't already fishy enough in Lubbock, then they're going to be even fishier. This team is the favorite to win the Big 12. They were the favorite even with him out. I think them and BYU were 1 and 2, but they dismantled BYU twice last season. And of course, the quarterback wasn't great last year, but even without Sorsby, they shouldn't have a problem with the rest of the conference. So things are going to get really nasty, and it's time for college football, somebody to take a stand, because it can't go on like this in college athletics. I'm doing research right now on a project about collegiate sports betting, and this is only complicating things further, because think about it, if this is going on and Sorsby gets a slap on the wrist, think of all the other players that are going to push the envelope, all the guys that want a little bit of extra money, that think they can get away with it. Maybe they are prone to gambling, or they gamble on other sports. When any result is tampered with, when any inside information is the key here. What information can you get to gain an edge? That's really the ethical issue here of gambling. And as gambling has been legalized, supported by the media, advertised, the media, everyone wants to say it's okay. Turns out it's not really okay in the first place. But, when we're legalizing it everywhere, there's no restrictions. It's only a matter of time before people push the envelope. And when there's just no repercussions at all, it creates huge, huge problems. This is going to be a big issue for college football, and whether or not they can actually solve this issue, it remains to be seen, because again, there has just been no legal authority, no centralized, you actually can't do this, we're going to enforce this. There's been none of that. The NCAA has basically no power. And when you can just find a friendly judge that pardons you, there's a difference here between an action that deliberately disturbs the fabric of the game and a personal issue. It's one thing if a player has committed other legal trouble and gets invited back on the team or something like that. That's more of a personal issue between them, the coach, the fan base, the school, and so forth. This is an issue of every game that he's ever played in, where you start to question what kinds of motives were going on behind the scenes and working strings to make people money. That's different than any sort of disciplinary issue that may or may not actually affect the on-field production of a player, that might, cause them to play better or to play worse. Off-the-field issues might not do that. Maybe that player is better, but they're completely different circumstances, and it is disgusting to see. It's disturbing to see, and I'm really just hoping that something is going to come out to fix this all up, because right now there's talk of the SEC seceding, there's 24-team playoffs going on, college football's a mess, and it really needs some help. So let me know your thoughts down below, and we'll see you soon.